Okay. All
Right.
right. Well, that kind of leads me into the next question too. When we talk about security, so when we talk about like the climate in these schools now, right? There's a feeling of like, am I safe? Or I wonder because I'm not in schools, right? And it's just like I wonder what it's like for people who actually work in schools. Of course, when you see the news and you see like these different shootings and different situations happen every day, it's just like what is the thoughts in your mind when you see these things happening more and more frequently now?
I mean, it's like every day you pull up, you got to just, leave all your issues and problems in your car. You can't bring any of your thoughts or any of that into the building because you got to be focused on what's going on around you. So it's like you just got to be alert 100% of the time. And no, you don't feel safe because you don't know what's about to happen. And even though you're sitting there and you have like, we have SROs here, which is school resource officers. And like some schools even have security guards on top of the SROs, and some of them have actual police from the school district. Like stuff still can pop off because kids can bring stuff in. So like you don't know if you're safe or not. Like every moment you're in the building, you don't know what's about to happen. Like you could
Right.
just be sitting there and then all of a sudden you hear that the school is going into a code yellow or a code red. And you may not even know why. You just know you better find shelter and lock yourself down.
Hmm.
And you don't even know how long you're gonna be there in that situation.
That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. So like, and you're saying, has it always been like that, or is this something newer?
I mean, I feel like it's recent since like, the Columbine and the Marjorie Stone and all that stuff. Like it's been a lot of shootings over the last couple of years. And
Yeah.
it's, just feeling more, unease. And I think it's because a lot of children have unidentified mental health issues.
Hmm.
And I think that's another show that you definitely can do. I have a friend who's a school counselor.
Let's go.
She could talk about that because I even did like some research on it too. But there's a lot of cultures where the kids have mental health issues and the families overlook them. They be like, oh no, they're young, they'll grow out of them. But those
Yeah.
kids don't ever grow out of them because they never get the help they truly need. And then
Mm.
those are the ones that come in and, you say one thing to them, they get upset and it's like it sets them off. And then, as an adult, those kids. So it's like you're almost walking on eggshells because you don't know what you could say that could set that kid off at that moment. So you just got to be careful at all times.
Yeah, I do think that that's another conversation that's worth diving into because I think that that can translate. Of course, it happens in the schools, but it also, when those things aren't dealt with in childhood, it can translate into our adult lives too. I think that plays a major role in the climate of our society right now. I feel like it's a lot of people who aren't mentally stable that are walking around because we've just dismissed things as just that for so long. And it's just like it's so many people walking around that don't know how to deal with their emotions. They aren't mentally stable, like, you know what I'm saying? They don't know how to cope with all of these situations and circumstances it is that they're going through. And it's just like if we're not getting it in childhood and nobody is really breaking that cycle, now it's just the norm.
Right. And that's what the norm is becoming a lot for like a lot of families. Like it's scary because, you have to take everything that a child says as something serious. So, like, if a child makes a threat, you got to take that threat serious because you don't know if they're actually capable of acting it out or if they're going to act it out. Like, you just never know. And I mean, a threat could be them saying they're going to bring something to school, or it could be them saying they're going to do something to somebody in the school.
Right.
So, all those things nowadays, like you have to take them seriously. So if a kid comes and say, hey, I heard so and so say they were going to do XYZ, then you got to start investigating that and see how true it is. And sometimes it's not even an opportunity to investigate. It's like, hey, we just got to put everybody on lockdown so nobody can move. Let me find this kid and let me get down to the bottom of it.
Huh. Huh. That's crazy to think about. In prepping for this episode, I was talking to my mom about it, and like she didn't know that we went through like active shooter preparation when we were in school. And I was just like, well, we're post Columbine kids. You know what I'm saying? So it there was none. And then all of a sudden after that, like 01, 02, yeah, like they had us doing like active shooter drills. And even then, like we were kids, so we didn't necessarily take it seriously, right? Because one, I didn't know, I was too young to know what Columbine was. So I didn't know anything about it. You know what I'm saying? The adults might have known about it. All I know is that we got this new drill on top of the earthquake and the tornado drill where they want us to either like get away from the door and just be quiet. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
you don't take it seriously because you don't think anything is gonna happen to you. Like you're a kid. So you don't even take it seriously. Like even up to high school, like when we were in high school, like they have active shooter drills, and all the teacher would do is just turn the lights off, and you sit at your desk till they say that you can go back to normal again. Nobody really thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
So even now, me being my age, I can't imagine what it's like now. You know what I'm saying? To be in those situations where it feels like there might be more and more of a real possibility of something happening.
Right. So, I mean, like now, the way that we prepare students is we do a drill every month for active shooters. We do a code yellow, which is just a danger on the outside of the building. So, basically, limited movement, but inside. And then we do a fire drill every month. We do the tornado drill and all those things. But you have to do a drill every month for each one of those things just so they can be prepared. Because honestly, no matter how much you prep for them, you're
Mm-hmm.
never going to be prepared. I found myself in that situation about a year ago. We were actually in a actual code red. We were on a lockdown, and we were in the lockdown for about 2.5, 3 hours, and we had to be evacuated from our building, one classroom at a time, by the sheriff department, and then we had to be sent off to a reevacuation facility for parents to be relocated with their children. So we practiced every month, but those drills and the practice, it didn't do anything for when the actual code red happened, because you're
Right.
not prepared for it, because you don't know where that person is, where the danger is in the building. And you don't actually have the danger in the building when you're practicing. You're just practicing I'm going to go around and bang on every door and see if the kid makes a noise. That's not what happens in actual code red. You could have somebody coming through the building actively shooting, and
Right.
that's what's really going to happen. Ain't nobody going to be banging on the door to see if a kid's going to scream. So that doesn't really prepare them, in my experience, to me.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah. Cause that was my next question is like, how is the preparation for the staff different than the preparation for the kids? Cause like the kids are a whole different ball game. You know what I'm saying? Kids don't think on the same level as adults do.
Right. I mean, like, again, it depends on your role. Your practice and your preparation is going to be different. But everybody's pretty much told to go lock down somewhere, get yourself behind a closed door, and get in a hard corner. A hard corner is a corner where they can't see in from the door, they can't see in from a window. If you have a window, like, put the shades down, even the one on the door, and just be as quiet as you can. Like, that's for anybody and everybody. If you got a desk, push that up to the door, hide behind it, whatever you can do. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
But that's really the preparation you have. Even as like a principal, they have to do that same thing. They're not going to go out facing that person head on. They're going to stay themselves somewhere hidden if they're smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you think that affects like the stress levels of like everybody really, like the kids and the people working in schools?
Yeah, I think it definitely does. And then when one actually happens, it's like just, everybody's stressed out, and it's a long, stressful, emotional day. And, like, as a parent with my child being in the same school with me,
Mm.
it was super hard for me because I had to stay in my work mind frame. I couldn't even think about my own kid. It was like, okay, we're in a code red. And for me, I went running to another child who I knew had medical issues, versus being like, okay, let me stay put in my office and lock the door, or let me try to make it to my child. I went for another child to take her medication in case she would have, gotten sick and had a seizure during the COVID. Over.
Right.
So
Right.
I was like, let me go to her. And then once we finally like got outside, I saw my kid. I went over. I was like, are you okay? I gave my child a hug, a kiss, and then I was like, mommy got to get back to work. And like immediately went right back to doing what I was doing. And that was hard, and it was very stressful.